Set to the side, you'd better run and hide. Mine to the side, everybody wants to stay alive. Set to the side, you'd better run and hide. Mine to the side, everybody wants to stay alive. You never stop! What is your major malfunction?
Welcome to the Chabdog Sports Talk Radio Show. Sunday mornings live from 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific. Where spontaneous sports talk, rated R.
Don't make a fuck out of me.
Host Brandon Chabner and producer Eric the Well-Read bring you Brian from Sports Rock.
Say hello to my little friend.
And Tank's West Coast godbrother, Abe Miranda.
You see the mess of the true fashion of New York.
Plus special guests, music, movie clips, comedy.
So fat, the blood type is ragu.
And always a little politics.
It comes from China.
The live call-in number is 252-585-4120. Join in the fun.
Hello.
And now, here's your host, Chabdog.
Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's the last show of April for Chabdog Sports Talk, the Torah studies show. Notice there's no H in those Torahs. And we've got a lot of clips to fit in this week for some reason. I guess, I just was a little more active looking at YouTube, and couldn't stop my mind from going from one era to the next. So I don't know. We're still doing a lot of stuff from the 50s and 60s and 70s, but that's the way it goes sometimes until I start committing more to the 2000s. The 2000s are just, to me, too recent, I guess. I don't know. I don't have a sense of the 2000s as much for some reason. Why is that? I think it's because you get older and you start focusing more on just survival in life and accomplishing your getting by and taking care of your family, whereas when you're growing up in your earlier years, your mind's more all over the place, and you can maybe put more attention into enjoying the less serious things in life, and the more artistic things. And it just for me, it just has these. Since 2000, the years don't have as much personality. The eras don't fit together that well. Like the 70s really sticks out in my mind. And the 60s was just like 10 years of incredible growth and scratching the surface of what we could become. And so there was a lot of hope and promise, and then heartbreak. And the 80s was more like, for me, money and excitement with Wall Street starting to open up and having that kind of a president, Reagan, in there. And then the 90s was kind of pushback and grunge, and but it was. I don't know. I don't have a clear sense of the 90s. It starts to die off for me. You know, the 90s was about Bill Clinton and I don't know, Dallas Cowboys. So, but it was also grunge rock and I don't know what else. The Chicago Bulls. How could I forget the Bulls? Yeah. So the 90s was strong. It had a nice personality to it. But what kind of person that was, other than a successful person, and maybe a vulnerable person, because we saw what happened to Bill Clinton. And then George Bush came in, and it just became everything became so confrontational, and knives were turned inward against each other by both sides, and then we had that terrible recession in 2008. So it was I don't know, but on the personal side, everybody had great things that happened to them, and I started a family, and I made my home here in California. So that's pretty damn special too. But I think if you ask people, I don't know. I'd like to know what other people. What do you think
Hey, Chabdog.
after that monologue there?
I loved it. It was it's the opening. Maybe that'll be a new tradition. We'll do the opening Chabdog's opening monologue.
I mean, I don't know.
Where he just
I'll
does
try.
listen to his freestyle association.
Yeah.
Techniques for 5
I
minutes.
hope some of that made sense. It made sense to me.
Well, to your
when I was
analyst, I'm
thinking
sure it
about
made a lot of sense, but
yeah,
she's listening.
Yeah.
He or she is
I
listening.
haven't been to one of those sessions in a long time. So.
Dr. Frankenstein? That sounds Jewish. I got the Stein part right. Yeah, Frankenstein. Was Dr. Frankenstein Jewish?
Frankenstein. That's you grabbing that from the
Hello?
Mel Brooks movie
Sure.
where Gene Wilder says it's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein?
I think but yeah, those German names you can never tell.
No, it's tricky.
Yeah.
Well, we got a great show coming up here today, and for those, just to remind you, we do take live calls at 252-585-4120. That's the Chabdog call-in line. At 1:30, we're going to be doing our Chabdog racing segment, so be sure to stick around. Or if you only show up for anything in the show, just fast forward to to 9:30, and you'll pick us up on Chabdog racing. Today we've got clips from 1979's Daytona 500.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, from the movie, clip from the movie The Oxbow Incident. Was it the 1950s there with Henry Fonda?
I think it was before that.
Well,
1950. I would say 40s.
Yeah, but then
Henry Fonda was so young in that movie.
But Harry
wasn't he?
Potter didn't look that old. Or
He's
old
ancient. Sherm Potter,
yeah.
Harry Morgan.
We're going to play a clip out of Walk the Line where Joaquin Phoenix sings a little Elvis. No, that's not Elvis. Elvis?
Yeah.
No, Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash.
It's about the dirty water in the...
And since this show is called the Tora, we'll actually play a clip from Tora.
Yeah.
Then we got to play some Tupac because it just sounds like Tora,
Yeah.
Tupac, Tora. And then we've got a little Olympic history here with Bruce Jenner.
Right, Bruce Jenner. And
who may be the next governor of California, plus some clips from the
Jesse Owens.
1936 Olympics,
Yes.
Jesse Owens, just to have a little discussion about that, and a clip from A Serious Man. That's a great movie. I got to watch a Coen film.
Mm-hmm. One of those Coen
relatives
films
made
that
that.
people may not know as much about, but it's really a good movie.
And if we got time, we'll throw in a little discussion. We'll throw in A Night in the City, clip from the 1950 film where a guy gets wrestled to death.
Bear hug, Gregorius. Bear hug.
Yes. A couple of clips from The Odd Couple, and we definitely got to throw in a Barstool clip on the origins of Frank the Tank from their point of view. Of course, we knew about him long before Barstool, but we'll hear their point of view as to how they discovered him and when they thought it was.
I'd like to know more about that.
Yeah, it's a short clip there, and the El Presidente is discussing, doing a little interview there and a little clip there. Clip shows. That's great. And of course, in between, we got to talk some sports. We got to talk about the great Jacob deGrom and the Mets and the great game he had a couple days ago.
I saw that.
LSU is making the news here. Darius Geis.
You can explain about that because I don't know all the details.
Title IX, there's some issues going on there. We've got a Cincinnati bar owner who won't show any more NBA games in his pub until LeBron is expelled from the NBA. We got obviously some NFL draft news.
There's a lot going on.
Sooner or later, we'll talk some politics, and we'll just be irrelevant. And, of course, we have the great, the only, the wonderful Mr.
Abe Miranda?
On the show.
Okay. I didn't hear the phone. I didn't hear any connection there, so I wasn't sure.
I answered it so fast, we didn't even hear it.
It just slid in there like a knife through butter.
But nonetheless.
Like shit through a pig. I didn't mean that in a bad way. I'm just thinking of something that happens quick.
Here.
It's like a credit card with no balance, and you put some money on. You put something on there, and it's on there right away. You know it's there.
Exactly. So definitely want to wish everybody hello on my favorite Chabdog family.
Oh, thank you.
And when I say Chabdog family, I'm talking about, of course, the Chabdog team and the audience and those who are listening to the podcast and those who are on, follow Chabdog on Facebook or other social media platforms. So, it's always exciting to be here and, spend a little time with the entire Chabdog family.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Do you know Miranda?
Do you even know the Miranda rights?
First, I have to read you the Miranda rights. You have the right to remain...
Abe Miranda.
I've never Miranda'd anyone before.
Don't give me attitude, sir.
Yes. Well,
That's funny.
I'd like to know what did Frank spend a lot of time talking to you about this show before you decided to come on, or was Eric the first person?
You know,
Yeah, let's get the backstory of how Abe Miranda came to us.
The backstory to the Chabdog. Well, actually, I remember, visiting Frank, and every time I visited Frank, we'd hang out on the weekends, and I usually leave Monday or Tuesday morning because he was going to work at the courthouse. And so every Sunday he would have this commitment to kind of meet with you guys here on Chabdog. And so there were times when I was in New Jersey and he was on the hooks with you guys here on this show. And matter of fact, I remember him fighting. I think he got into several fights. At least it sounded like it was pretty hostile. It was a very hostile show.
So yeah, he mentioned
somebody.
his antagonist. He mentioned who he was fighting with.
It was the somebody from Boston, right?
Yeah, it was Mark. It was they had
Mark.
a famous
Mark,
love-hate relationship, mostly hate. They just, Mark would just try to twist the knife whenever he could into Frank and set him off. And
he was horrible.
Invariably, he found the sensitive spot. But
and Frank was so good. He played a character. I mean, I know what Frank was doing here. I mean,
but he was also being kind of naturally. Mark has a way of trying to dominate things and trying to just run you over.
And if he sees you as an adversary, he has a way of really getting under your skin too. He's just a typical Boston guy.
So of course Frank just put up the roadblocks more and more and more and more, and
which then pushed Mark's buttons.
Yeah, it
escalated. Like it'd just be like strategic escalation. Like you're gonna have thermonuclear war, and the Russians.
They kind of stopped having direct contact with each other.
Well, yeah, when Tank stopped taking his calls, I think he was, crank calling him quite a bit.
So, but Tank didn't say that was overriding his generally good experience on the show, did he? Like, he seemed like he liked calling in, right?
No. You know what? Frank is just, he just, every opportunity you give Frank, it doesn't matter what it is. He takes it, he does it, and he does it to the best of his ability. And he doesn't it doesn't matter if it's a good experience, bad experience. He just chugs right through everything. He really is a tank when it comes to that. And no, I don't think he had any bad experience whatsoever. I mean, he was very committed to this show. I mean, every Sunday he made time to carve out time.
Yeah, I thought he was very committed. Yeah. So I think he knows I appreciate him, and we want him back whenever he can come back. But he led us to you, and that's all part of life. Things happen, things change, and evolve, and so you're now part of our show, and he's a welcome guest anytime.
Well, he'll do. We'll do a clip for him. He'll do another time. He'll do a clip at us anytime, just not on Sundays at this time.
Yeah. So at some point we have to try to work around the fact he can't do it now, to get him back into the mix a little bit.
Maybe when he moves into a new place and gets in-house washer and dryer.
So he introduced us to you, and
I found out about it on Twitter. Is how I came to know.
So Eric,
I saw your photographs of Tank.
Eric was the enzyme as usual. So you were
so impressed. I thought you were a professional photographer. I thought that's what you did, Abe. Because those pictures you had of him, it was in that subway stop. The black and white shots you took, among others.
Yes. And I really am not a professional photographer, but hey, maybe I should be. You know,
you could be. You could be. You got a really
so
good eye
looking
composition.
For a wedding.
Anyone's
got a wedding. Put some nice black and whites up there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, enough of this mutual admiration.
So the show's taking the show's taking a nice turn in terms of you're adding structure to it. So we've got your racing segment. We're going to do that, and Eric's
coming up in 15 minutes.
Eric's thinking strategically about other things.
Well, we have a
now I have to come up with a monologue every show. Uh-oh.
Well, you kind of do it anyway.
I know it just happens.
You,
I think mostly. Yeah, I used to really be more concerned about that when Mark was on the show because then I just never knew when I'd get to talk again.
Yeah, get a way of monopolizing.
So you have to get your words out there, but we loved having. He was a lot of fun on the show. So
when he wasn't out of control on drugs, he was fantastic. And
I regret what happened at the end because things should never have ended like that.
No, but I think the steroids were getting to him.
So
that wasn't Mark talking. That was the steroids. Not kidding. Yeah.
Well, Mark would be happy because the Boston Red Sox are in first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how long that's going to last, but the Major League Baseball season has, I've started to recognize baseball's happening, and I'm paying attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think? I guess the Mets are falling. They probably
falling.
Something seems to have happened. They're having problems with the Nationals. They did.
They beat the Nationals the other. DeGrom.
Are they still in first place? I feel like they're not in first place anymore.
I think they're still in first place.
They lost. What's the like? They lost last night to somebody. 7. They got beat 7-1.
Okay, that's the Nationals. They're playing a series with the Nationals over the weekend. They won the first game, and DeGrom pitched a masterpiece.
Right.
15 strikeouts, 2-hit shutout. Played a complete game through 109 pitches. I mean, what a...
that
Abe,
was
do you want to speak lovingly about Jacob DeGrom here?
Well, Jacob DeGrom, he's just, wow. I mean, it's amazing. He had an amazing game on Friday, and he struck out 15 guys. And I think he's also has, he has the record for having the most strikeouts in the first 4 games of the season or something like that, because he's had over 50 strikeouts. I mean, the guy's just been pitching amazing. He's got the best ERA in baseball, and it's amazing that the Mets even is able to even retain a pitcher like DeGrom, because generally when we have somebody that's good, they go to another team. So the fact that we have a guy who's pitching, and I mean, the guy's on fire this year, and I think everything that he's, every game he started, he's just been nasty, and it's just, we're lucky to have him, and that's really a huge saving grace for the Mets. Now, the day before they played the Cubs, and they went into extra innings, and they had bases loaded situation, and they gave up they got a double play on that, and that was just, it's like all you had to do is get one guy in, but instead, the Cubs turn around and then they score on extra innings, and then they ended up sweeping the Mets, and so now
I said buy the Cubs. Remember?
But as far as standings, because Chabdog, you mentioned the standings, it looks like Philadelphia and the Mets are tied for first place.
What's the record,
both
though?
At 500.
They're 5.
Philly's at 10-10, and the Mets are 8-8.
500. It's not going to win that division. Sorry, somebody's going to have to start asserting themselves in a positive way.
Yeah.
Atlanta. I can't see Atlanta being subpar all year. I think at some point their talent, they must still have a lot of talent with their lineup. I don't see them. They should be 10 games over 500 by the end of the year.
Well, they're doing great right now. I mean, they're one game away from being 500. So really, they're just
they're in a tie basically.
They can win. Yeah, if you could just win one game, they're tied for first place. You got a three-way tie.
A thruple.
Yeah, and the AL West is kind of weird. Oakland's just taking control of that.
What about the Mariners?
The Mariners are hanging around, but I just don't take them that seriously. Oakland to me seems like
Oakland's more serious.
They've been a good team for a while.
Well, they've been on the rise.
And
I think one of the biggest things about Oakland is that we hear a lot of talk about the Yankees and the other teams, but Oakland, I mean, they've got like a 13 winning streak game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, holy crap! I don't even think the Oakland A's have lost one game at the Coliseum yet.
No, they lost some in the beginning of the year. They had a bad start. I couldn't figure it out exactly, but they were losing embarrassing games. They were just losing badly to the Astros, I think. And
because the Astros are cheating.
So they got by that. They got over that and their problems, and now they're just rolling, doing what they typically do during the regular season, and then
with the cheapest payroll in baseball.
So it's been it's like another Billy Bean type situation with a lot of no names.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not really no names because I think some of these guys have been together for 3 or 4 years and they're just good. They play fundamental good baseball and they get usually a pretty good pitching. And then the Angels are subpar and
no, the Angels are 500. They're hanging around.
They still have no pitching. Come on, right?
It's early. They're working on it. Angels are a work in progress.
I would be selling them short. I have a feeling they're going to kind of collapse. And then, but okay,
Shohei's going to.
You don't think so? And then who else is in the AL West? It's Seattle, the Angels, Oakland. Oh, Houston.
And the cheaters.
Yeah, but
they're going to walk.
I don't care if you hate them. They're still too good to probably not make the playoffs.
Mm. Well,
so. And you got your Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
They're doing amazing this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much to trust that, but it's,
my prediction is they'll come all the way to
they've
August.
Got a lot. They've got hitting.
They'll lead the division to the end of August, and then the Yankees will surpass them. So just watch. Tampa Bay will knock the shit out of them.
What the Yankees have been kind of staggering around, half drunk or something. They're not
drunk.
They're not playing. They weren't focused for quite a while, but now they're starting to.
Well, this is if you're going to have a slump, this is the time to have it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Tampa Bay, I was scared of them. So,
one great story about the Boston Red Sox, and I wanted to, I even talked to Frank about this earlier in the week. Was, I was my father was in the Air Force, and so we moved around from base to base, and I was in New Hampshire at the time when I was just a kid, and this is when I was getting baptized with my godfather, which is Frank's dad. And when they came up from New York to New Hampshire, Frank had not even gone to his first baseball game yet. And Frank was coming to be there with, my godfather to get baptized. And his very first baseball game was on that trip. They ended up stopping at Fenway Park and actually watching a Boston Red Sox game.
Oh, wow.
So a little behind the scenes on Frank the Tank, that his very first baseball game ever was at Fenway Park, and that was on that trip to when I got baptized.
And when was that? What, the late 70s?
No, that was like 80. Must have been like 84.
Oh.
Something around that. Back about 84, 85. Yeah. So that was Frank the Tank's first baseball game. And then it was my father who took Frank to his very first Mets game in 1986.
Oh.
So because Frank's father and are actually Yankee fans.
Yeah, he's a Yankees fan.
And so he's Yankees fan. So my father, he had come down from one of these trips from New Hampshire to visit them, and he asked Frank, he's like, "Hey Frank, you want to go to a ball game?" And he said, "Yeah." He's like, "Hey, let's go to Shea Stadium." And apparently that was the games that were playing that weekend. There weren't any Yankee games, and I think there was just the Mets games. And he said, "Come on, let's go to Shea Stadium." And that was in 1986, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
So I thought you would
Frank
enjoy that,
started being a Mets
knowing
fan
that-
at a good time. 86. That was the year that the Mets won it, right?
Yes, it was. But I thought of you, Chabdog. I said, "Hey, let me make sure I got this straight." And I spoke to Frank this week and confirmed it. But I figured you would appreciate that Red Sox story.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's the origin of Tank right here. Let's
Oh,
play the clip.
okay. Why don't you play this? Yeah.
Cancellations made it nearly impossible to get around. For some, the frustration was overwhelming.
New Jersey Transit is the absolute worst. I'm not going to get to my game now because they are incompetent. Incompetent. You tell track G, track H, track E, and then I get on track H, and they say, "No, this train's not wrong. The announcement is wrong."
He was clearly irate about possibly missing the Mets opening day game.
I had this thing on loop for like an hour with tears coming down my
Do you know what it is? It's when his voice cracks.
It is
competent. It's
Because they are incompetent. Because they are incompetent.
That's the whole clip right there. When because it's the anger, like this guy can't really be this mad, and then his voice cracks. You're like, oh, he's this mad.
This guy is
He's
straight
unbelievable.
from the moon.
Honestly, we did 1 hour on radio on this guy. I don't even know how we could do it on the rundown, but
he's Danny Boy Kane, except not afraid of the spotlight.
Right.
At no point
Who's
was
he?
I ever attacked by a bear, let alone encounter one. At no point, and let me address this very clearly, at no point was I ever diagnosed with the swine flu. Not once.
a combination of him being fat, being a Mets fan, and being stuck on New Jersey Transit.
That
Also,
voice,
by the way, he was bumped by a New Jersey employee. A New Jersey Transit employee dropped his phone and broke it. Just a little icing on his shit cake.
He was so mad
that was
about
opening
that.
day.
The name is perfect.
Frank
the
Fleming.
nickname
Frank
is
the Tank
perfect.
Fleming.
NJ Tank. I told you I got deep on his Flickr account. He has like 75 pages of games he went to that are just like blurry pictures and like concourses. And
It's like-
the best
he
part about this
predicted-
guy is that he would, if it weren't for this one small clip, he would have just kept on living his life doing the exact
He's,
same
no, you know what?
thing.
He's going to continue to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he'd still be doing the show on Sundays, Jeff.
I don't know about that. I think that was
he was going to get discovered sooner or later.
He was marketing himself before that. I mean, he
That too, though.
Yeah, no.
he's been working on things. He's laying. Oh, Jenga! I love Jenga.
Oh boy.
Heck,
We're
yeah,
talking
do the
about
Jenga.
No, he's going to be hired. He's going to be working at Barstool Sports. Dave's going to hire him.
I like
the
that.
Tank.
Little weird.
We are going to hear a lot more
Unicorn.
from this guy. Yeah. I'm also in the process of hiring the Tank because I couldn't hire Doug's
The Tank.
without hiring Tank.
The Tank.
Yeah.
That's breaking news.
He will have a restriction on how many times he can come to the
He looks
office.
like he's lost a little weight.
A year ago, I made a prediction that the United States soccer team would not qualify for the World Cup in Brazil.
Was he right
Well,
about this?
I guess I have to do this now.
He's eating it.
He's eating
a
his
piece of
words.
Literally.
Oh man, that's got to be bad for your health.
Well, it can't be any worse.
Do you think he really swallowed that?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So,
Yeah.
So that's the origins of Frank the Tank on Barstool.
Yeah.
But we knew about it.
We knew him
We know all
since when did we meet him?
2016.
2016.
We had him as a guest on I think it was June or July.
I met him
It was
through.
July.
Yeah, I met him through. I think through Rick, Rick Saletta, who's the guy that we met him at that trip we took to Vegas for the sports thing.
Oh yeah, That's where we met Rick Soletto, and he connected us to Frank the Tank.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you're
I think
kidding.
so. I think so. Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? Wow.
It just goes to show you if you go
we
through
were at a
your
USA
life.
Today sports gathering.
Yeah.
Of affiliates. Yeah. At the what hotel was that?
Was it Bellagio?
No, it was further down the strip. It was the one where they had the shootings. Honey,
Mandalay Bay.
Mandalay?
Yeah, Mandalay Bay.
Oh, Mandalay Bay.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
Mandalay Bay. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, it was the one they had the shootings. Now we know what it is. Sorry, and it was just a few months before those shootings too.
Okay.
Same year.
Yeah. I think we met him there, and then he also...
No. Sorry. What are you talking about? We had Tank on before that.
We did?
Yeah, because that was like 2017. We had Tank, or that was 2018. Or something. We
Oh,
had Tank
maybe.
on back in
So
the summer of
I met him
2016.
through. I met him through somebody else that I met at a networking event or something. It was. But I can't. I don't know. I think maybe I met Rick Soletto before that event.
Okay, so I remember we had him on,
Mhm.
and then I remember you took your sabbatical as you do. You take that week off in August.
Yeah.
When you go to the Cape,
Mhm.
or the island, or it's an island.
Nantucket. Yeah.
Thank you. And then, yeah, I had him on. I asked him, would you come on with me since I'm doing the show by myself, and he did, and we had like the most wonderful time. Just because he's just. Like, I'm just getting to know the guy, and it's just, wow, it's just story after story.
Yeah.
And he's talking about Mickey Mantle and when he owned a bar, and just the details and the warmth in his voice, and just he loves talking that stuff. So then you came back on, and he came back, and then we just kept going.
Mhm.
And I think it wasn't a few months later than when you got Mark on. And then the moment they heard each other's accents.
But we met Mark before.
No,
Didn't we?
Tank was first.
Tank was first. Oh.
We had another Boston guy on earlier, and then he substituted Mark in. Remember? And we got Mark instead.
I met Mark through somebody my dad knew. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, so Tank was before Mark. That's nice to know.
Oh yeah, yeah, well before. And then so we had it was you, me, and Tank for weeks, and we were having a good old time. And then Mark came along, and the moment they heard each other's accents. Abe, it was priceless.
It was like cats and dogs.
It was like you threw a cat and a dog in a bag and you smacked the bag with a stick. And they just, instinctively went for each other's throats. It was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're getting close to the time for
it's
Abe's racing thing. Do you want to play some NASCAR stuff before or after?
Hold on. It's time.
Here comes Speed Racer. He's a demon on wheels. He's a demon and he's gonna be chasing after someone. He's gaining on you, so you better look alive. He's busy revving up the powerful Mach 5. And when the odds are against him and there's dangerous work to do,
There goes Bobby Allison.
Speed Racer, see it through. Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go. He's up and flying as he guns a car around the track. He's jamming down the pedal like he's never coming back. Adventure's waiting just ahead. Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go.
Right.
Okay.
Excellent.
The floor's
So
yours.
anyway, thank you. So of course I left you last week with the Toyota Owners 400.
Yes.
At Richmond Raceway, and of course that race started sometime after a show, and of course at the end it was Alex Bowman in the 48 Chevy, followed by Denny Hamlin in the 11 Toyota, and then
FedEx
Joey
Cup.
Logano 22 on the Ford. Interesting enough, Denny Hamlin actually did lead on the first stage and the second stage. So he, again, was, the leader. He had majority of the race in the bag. But, of course, at the very end, Alex Bowman just came out of nowhere and just took the lead on those final laps. And so it came for a really good race. Ended up being a really good race. But Alex Bowman in the Chevy just coming out of nowhere. And interesting enough, Hendrick Motorsports, which is Alex Bowman's car in the Chevy, the last time they actually won a race at Richmond Raceway was actually back in 2008. So very unexpected. They hadn't won a race there in a long time, and Alex Bowman surprising everybody with that Chevy of his. And just so you know, he started 24th in that race.
Yeah, why don't you tell people, I mean, exactly, because I'm trying to remember, when you start one of those big races, you just have cars kind of lined up in 5 rows or something, or how does it work in terms of when they start, where the cars are positioned? Well, they have generally during non-COVID times, they had you would qualify for the race. So you would they would take a pole position. So you're gonna run the cars, and you're gonna qualify. So it's just a staggered start. All these cars going one by one. Is that right?
Yeah. So basically, yeah. So whoever has the fastest lap times, you get your pole positions. But because of COVID, they're using a formula to set up the pole position as to, based on last race results and based on the car, and they come up with a formula. And now they give you your pole position.
I guess
they just assign it to you.
What I'm trying to get at is that if you're in the 25th position, what does that mean in terms of when you get to start your race, as opposed to when the guy that's in the number 1 position starts? Like, how much of an advantage is it?
Well, it's several seconds advantage because you're just stacking them up. Usually it's 2 by 2, so that's really far back. That could be a difference of 5 or 6 seconds ahead of you. It's like a train.
But a guy can still make, as we saw, a guy can still make that up.
Yes, absolutely. You can make it up because, there's, of course, you get yellow flags and things that slow down the cars on the tracks. And so that's very, you could be down a lap, but then people start, doing the pit stops, and then you do the pit stop game, and you can get some positions doing it. So you could start 24th and come all the way up to the front of the pack, just by things that happen throughout the race. And then, of course, they kind of run in stages. So you kind of catch up to everybody again. So you've got your stage leaders now too. So for our last race, there were 3 stages, and so they stop. It's done in segments. It's not all done at once. So you stop, and then it gives you have a restart. So all the cars are stacked up again.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the question of who has the best pit stop crew, and I'm sure.
Well, that was Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin was super fast. I mean, they were doing things in just a couple seconds. They were so quick at Richmond. They were just like choo 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 choo, done. They didn't even give you little sound effects.
They should have Denny's restaurants should use Denny Hamlin as a advocate, sponsor.
Fitting it was FedEx. I mean, FedEx should
right,
deliver
a
our mail.
booster guy.
I think FedEx, their sponsors FedEx. So
I know, but Denny's. I think
FedEx.
of Denny's and Denny Hamlin.
Well, yeah, there's Denny's.
Denny's restaurant.
When was the last time you ate at Denny's?
I have eaten there.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I asked.
Why? You'd be embarrassed to be caught in the Denny's?
I didn't say that.
I mean,
and today's race is good. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You know me. I go as long as it's clean. I go anywhere. Though I never went to some of those places I see all the time, like Norm's. I've never been to a Norm's. Is it really good there?
Oh, Norm's. You've never been to a
No,
Norm's is great.
I just never had occasion.
Norm's
I don't
is great.
know.
No,
Yeah, we have to go there
sometime.
sometime.
Didn't I take you to Norm's?
I don't think so.
Oh, I failed you as a friend. I'm so sorry. I've got to take you there. I mean, it's, hey, Norm's is the best, right?
Is
there a better diner in LA?
We need a return to normalcy then. Return to normalcy. I want to go to Norm's. All right,
Norm's is great. They're famous for their T-bone steak.
But we're going to BJ's, right? That's where we're going to go to for our meeting.
BJ's is famous too.
Yep. Go try that root beer on tap.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's what everybody.
Well, today we're going to have the Geico 500, and that one's going to start right after this show at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or 2 p.m. Eastern, and that's going to be the Geico 500 at Talladega Super Speedway today. So that one is in Lincoln, Alabama. That's going to be 188 laps. It's going to be a 500-mile race. Interesting thing about Talladega is actually it's actually the largest tri-oval track that NASCAR runs on, and it's over 2.5 miles long. So it's a very, very, very long track.
I kind of like that.
Which is yeah.
Don't you like that? I like that.
Well, the thing about the big track is that it gives you a lot of the top speeds, and actually because of that, Talladega Speedway, Super Speedway is actually the fastest track I believe that NASCAR has, because and the actual if you were to say the fastest speed or the speed record at Talladega was over 216 miles per hour, and that was Rusty Wallace back in 2004, actually. So the speed record is 216.3 miles per hour. So
you mean the speed record got set in the speed record got set in 1984?
2004.
2004. Okay. That's still a really long time.
2004.
It seems like an inordinate amount of time has gone by for that record not to be broken, given the way that I would think technology keeps evolving in terms of cars and speed.
Yeah.
Is that unusual?
Well, that's...
kind of suggests there's some, like, there's a pushback here. It's not just obviously the technology that causes the speeds to improve, but also the human factor. And if at a certain point humans can't move a car any faster than they're moving it, like because there's human limitations on what we can do.
Oh, there are. Yeah, we can't run faster than 4 minutes in a mile, can we?
Well, reflexes are such that man's physical limits are always a factor. So I guess
they broke the 4 minute mile. That was Bannister in the 1950s.
Right. So
it's just a question. Some driver.
But when's the last time the mile was broken? Like,
when a track event?
The record. I mean, how long is the?
I think in the last 10 years somebody broke that. Yeah, I'd have to look it up, but it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I challenge your point. I hear your point.
I mean,
but I challenge your point. I think some industrious driver, some kid who was
you're on solid ground to say this record will always be. Records are made to be broken.
Yeah, that's it. Records are made to be broken. That's the human spirit and evolution.
But
of people.
Nobody's broken DiMaggio's record. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, because it's it takes some very special people to break very special.
I don't know. The record for triples will ever be broken because they changed the parks after the guys that are the leaders in that category were done or finishing. So when they changed to enclosed parks, that made it a lot harder for triples to ever be hit.
Yeah, but that's a technical change there.
Oh. So that's not really part of the rule?
Well, it applies differently there. Yeah, because it was just if you arbitrarily change the rules, then of course you're going to have things that are out.
Okay.
You can aspire.
You're being very argumentative this morning, aren't you?
Am I?
Maybe I'm just not. My mind's not working fast enough to counter that, other than to say, theoretically, you're right. Records will always be broken. But you never know for sure.
Hey, Dick fucking Tracy.
I don't know if any NFL teams can ever win 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. Actually, do the Patriots do that? I don't think so.
Well, here, let's get back to NASCAR.
Okay.
Here's this clip. This is a great clip.
We're never going to see a race finish like this. This was a great
One
finish.
lap to go. This is it. Last lap. Stand by for a finish.
79
Two of the greatest fiddling here, fidgeting with first place. Passing some of the strikers in the last lap. Trying to take it home. It's all come down to this. Out of turn 2, Donnie Allison in first. Where will Cale make his move?
Cale Yarborough coming on the inside.
Donnie Allison throws
But Donnie Allison is not moving over.
He slides.
Allison goes flying into the wall. They're both doing 360s.
Two cars are out. In the backstretch are the leaders. Watching for the leaders to. They're still up in turns 3 and 4. The leaders are up in turns 3 and 4. Coming down, Richard Petty is now pulling out in front. Darrell Waltrip is in second. AJ Foyt is in third.
That's a great name for a race car driver.
Slingshot. Petty is out in front.
Waltrip.
At the line. Waltrip to the inside. Petty wins it.
Waltrip was almost touching his bumper
Let's
there.
look again at that crash. Here it is. They're into the turn already. Spinning, sliding. The hopes for Donnie Allison vanish. Cale Yarborough trying to win his third. He's out of it. A sad moment for these people. But for Richard Petty, hurt all of last year, driving most of the year with a broken and battered body. He comes home a winner today after 45 straight losses. And here comes a $60,000 car becoming a 22-passenger school bus to bring his crew to victory lane. And there's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison. The tempers overflowing. They're angry.
I'd
They
be
know
pissed
they
off
have
if I was
lost.
Donnie Allison,
And what
man.
a bitter defeat.
Guy comes barreling through with no room and tries to pass you on the
Very
inside.
hardly upset. And Bobby Allison is stopped by his brother to help. Richard Petty in car number 43 battling Darrell Waltrip. Here they come to the line. The photo finish camera was on. The checkered flag and for Waltrip going right down on the apron as he grappled with Richard Petty for first place. But there was no stopping Petty for his 6th win. A man who has lost 40% of his stomach in the past 2 or 3 months, who drove hurt all last year, who hasn't had a win in a long time, comes home the winner of the 21st Annual Daytona 500. Coming up next on CBS Today, the NBA. For David Hobbs, Brock.
Oh, this was right around the time when I sent you that clip for the NBA game, too. Did you get that?
I don't remember that. It was an NBA.
This is when Washington Bullets were playing the Seattle Supersonics. So it was the Washington versus Washington NBA championship.
Yeah, I think I got you sent over the entire game.
Yeah,
that's why I don't have it.
That's why I don't have it. It's too bad because the first 3 minutes of that intro were great. Brent Musburger's doing it.
Yeah, I listened to it. I listened to it this morning. Yeah, I thought, oh my god, this thing goes on for 2 hours, man.
I had it in the background last night. I was enjoying it. Listen to, because that was a great series.
You looking at pictures of Anne Margaret.
Yeah.
In the background?
Well, let me just. I mean, that was a great series because there weren't any like total superstars in that series, but there were a lot of good players.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly, the Bullets had a lot of good players. Actually, some Hall of Fame guys, and Seattle had, I guess, Dennis Johnson. He was the Hall of Famer from that team. I don't know about anybody else, but
like I say, no names.
It was no names, but there were 35,000 people in the stands in Seattle, and seats in Seattle, going crazy, just going crazy, and that was Seattle's year.
Yep, it was very special.
That's a pretty good basketball town.
It was.
It's too bad they don't have a team anymore, but
one of these days, Clippers will move up there.
That would probably be smart.
Yeah, they still hang around.
So we got that. We also had the. Did you, Abe? You liked the Benny Parsons clip, right? Did you watch that, right?
Yes, it was a very nice tribute, and I think what Chabdog's referring to is on the Chabdog Facebook group. There's a nice tribute video that Chabdog posted of Benny Parsons, and it was great. It was a very nice, it was a very touching tribute to such a person who was just such a nice guy, such a gentle guy, and really loved his fans. And you know, I can relate to that, especially to all of the Chabdog fans out there. So, you know, the same feelings that he had towards his fans and audience members, you know, I feel the same. And so you'll see me active on the Facebook group or on social media and stuff, referring to you guys. So always a great, and it was a very nice tribute, very nicely done of Benny Parsons. And what was nice is that, you know, there wasn't a lot of views on that video, but I'm hoping that by you posting it and people seeing it, they'll get more views.
Yeah,
it was well done.
You probably remember him more on the announcing side, right?
Yes, he's more on the announcing side, where maybe you actually saw him as a race car driver.
Yeah, I was a little kid, like 7 or 8, when he was good, and between 7, 8, and 11, I mean, in the 70s, he was doing things. He won the Winston Cup in 1973. I think that was a year that he really dominated, and it was, you know, he was MVP that year basically, and then I think he won the Daytona 500 in 75. Didn't he win one Daytona 500?
Yes, he did, and I believe it was in 1975.
Yeah, so I know a little about racing trivia, and but I just remember he was one of those names that I would hear periodically when I watched a NASCAR race, and it's just kind of a name that it fits in with NASCAR. It's kind of a, you know, Dukes of Hazzard type name, and he was a good old boy, but everybody liked him. You know, he was. And that's what you need when you want a good TV host.
Yeah, let's play a couple moments. I heard this for the first time this morning. I was really touched by it.
To paraphrase, Bob told the
how
people
good
waiting
this
to greet
fellow
Benny in
was.
heaven
Let's
that
play a few
more than
moments of it.
likely BP will be a little late because he probably stopped to talk to someone along the way.
Mm-hmm.
That was Benny. Today, our salute to BP, a man who truly brought pride to NASCAR.
Today's Grand Marshal, 1973
They're
NASCAR
lined up.
Winston Cup Series champion, Benny Parsons.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Benny Parsons started every race and every day the same way to make sure he got the most out of every mile. As a racer, he was intense as they come. He might give you an inch here or there, but he was just as likely to steal it from you as well. He won races in respect the old-fashioned way. He earned it, and sometimes he took it. But when the checkered flag flew and the emotion settled, Benny was a buddy to just about everybody. After he retired, Benny never won a race, but he never lost a friend. Once you met BP, you were a member of his team for life. And I'm willing to bet, beyond. You can add up his wins, marvel at his success, and applaud his achievements, but you could not measure his heart. I'll never forget Benny as a racer, but I will always remember him as a person. Now, before we get too far into the show, the big guy and I want you to know that we are thrilled because today we are calling our first Daytona 500.
Yes.
Now, your dream came true here 27 years ago yesterday.
And Bill, it changed my life forever. Before that, I was introduced as Benny Parsons. He's a race car driver. After that, here's Benny Parsons. He won the Daytona 500.
Benny was an original. His caring and his charisma were carved into his personality as a boy growing up in the country. As a broadcaster, well, television wasn't made for Benny, but it certainly seemed that Benny was made for television. His booming voice louder than the roar of the engines, his smile brighter than the most powerful lights.
We have a tough job here tonight. We have to introduce a race that needs no introduction.
Well, you're struggling. Let me help you out a little bit. BP, welcome. What are we doing here? Thank you very much, Bill. Why are we here? We're here because 147,000 people show up this Saturday night. This is where we all came from. If you're a race fan, if you've been following this sport, that's why you're watching. That's why you're here.
BP didn't live at the track,
Yeah,
but
good
his
delivery,
life
Jimmy.
revolved around the sport. He was at home in the garage where he knew all about the cars, but he wanted to learn more about the people. Their stories fueled his passion. The race was always important, but for Benny, it was the people that powered the sport. Even when he was working, he was really playing with the people he knew best and the people that loved him the most. At the track, in the garage, on the air, with his colleagues or the competitors, life was more important than racing. And with his unmistakable laugh when it came to having fun, you knew Benny was always on the pole. Humor was his horsepower,
The
and he was
king.
thrilled to take you along for the ride.
Oh, look, he's driving.
I can't feel a thing with these gloves on.
But there were two rides Benny enjoyed the most. His 1975 victory in the Daytona 500.
Yep.
And the season finale in Rockingham, where he clinched the series championship in 1973. A moment and a memory he was able to relive with our crew in 2003.
A 1973 Winston Cup champion, Benny Parsons. Can you hear me?
Wally, I got you. How about this, huh?
Is that cool or what? Boy, they love you here, Benny.
This is so cool. And you know, Wally, I had got pit crews that offered to pit this car if I were run all day.
Hey, if you want to drop the hammer, you got my vote.
I better not. I better come out and keep you company up there.
And even when the season was over, you could probably find Benny behind the wheel. Growing up, he spent a little time driving a taxi cab in Detroit. That experience came in handy just
That's
a few
James
years
Woods.
ago, trying to get host James Woods to the NASCAR awards ceremony in a December snowfall.
Oh, I
He
wish I'd
loved a
seen
round
that.
of golf, a glass of wine, a good joke, a little magic, and a big race. But to many, nothing was bigger than BP in stature and style. We are so grateful that we share the many miles and smiles with our champion. From rural North Carolina to the big night in the Big Apple, he did get the most out of every mile. In a sport born by moonshine, Benny Parsons will always be a ray of everlasting sunshine.
The great Benny Parsons.
Mm.
Inspiring.
I know you made somebody happy out there by playing that video, because it definitely made me happy. But I'm sure somebody out there really appreciated that video. And also on that Facebook group, if you're on there, I did post a virtual tour of that Miami Formula One circuit next year. So I did post up a link to that.
Cool.
We talked a
I'll
little
have to
bit
check
about
that
that
out.
last week.
Wow.
Yeah, so F1 finally,
Hmm.
they do have at least a virtual view of the racetrack. And then again, that's posted on the Facebook group. And also for today, I would like to have Denny Hamlin once again try to take my checkered flag, especially since he's been so close. He is the points leader, and he has yet to really win a race. He's just been there. He's been leading laps after laps after laps after laps, and then he just kind of loses it at the end. So I'm hoping that maybe Talladega will be a little bit better for him. And hopefully, again, a little extra prayers because Talladega is known for what we call the big one. We have major accidents there, especially since the cars do go over 200 miles per hour, as we spoke a little earlier. The race speeds do get up to over 200 miles per hour. So extra prayers today, and wave that green flag today after the show, and let's get ready to race.
Okay. Oh, we're coming up on the break time here.
We got another minute.
We have to. So, anything you want to say before the break?
Well, I just want to make a comment on Talladega
Uh-huh.
because of the long straightaway.
Okay.
They get up they get to wind it up and get really high speed and play chicken as they come into the left-hand turn. That's basically what they're doing. That's why it's a man's track. because that's what they're doing. They all rev up their engines, come off that last
You're
corner.
you're saying about
and gun it down
coming
the
around
straightaway,
somebody
and
on
then
the
play chicken as
inside.
to who's going to go first into the corner and not wipe out.
Yeah,
that's why I like Talladega. That's why it's such a cool track, because it's like they get.
It's like the ultimate man track.
Yeah, and then they turn left, and then they go straight, and then they turn left again.
I definitely want to get more into NASCAR because I feel like
it's pretty cool.
I watched that Benny Parsons tribute, and I realized that this is a sport that connects with people that follow it. This connects really strongly, and I think there should be a way to market this a little more broadly so that it spreads its wings a little more and beyond the typical demographic that you see with a person in North Carolina. You know what I mean? It appeals to a demographic.
Oh, racing. I mean, there's NASCAR, there's Indy.
It could
there's
be
the history
broad.
of racing. There's the history of automobiles.
I mean, you would think there's ways to make the sport a little more viewer friendly. You know what I mean?
Viewer friendly. What are you talking about? It's very.
I know it is, but then again, you need to get these people that are these contenders. They need to become more household names.
English. What? Get to the point.
You need better branding for the racing.
Branding? What are you talking about? You got FedEx. You got great.
Yeah,
branding.
but NASCAR's branded, but it's the individuals that are the cars in the races are not. I don't know. I don't know more than 5 or 10 of these drivers.
Oh well, that's marketing comes and marketing goes. I mean, sometimes they get the names known, like Richard Petty.
I just feel like it was stronger a while ago.
Oh, okay. Well, you're reminiscing about a past that
what do you
we're
think?
living in.
What do you think? Do you think?
Abe?
Do you think they can improve in this area, Abe?
Well, I mean, we're making. Yes, of course. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that we can do to improve, and with I think NASCAR. Not sure if you're trying to say the inclusivity of NASCAR, but I know that the sport has been changing a little bit. I know that when I went to the AAA Speedway here in California, I felt like the folks that were seeing those NASCAR races were a little bit more diverse than what you would see in maybe other states. Of course, so they also have races in Las Vegas, and that's a very diverse group of folks as well. So I think it depends on the racetrack that you're going, is how diverse it's going to be. But yeah, there's a lot of things we can do to make it better. But hey, you got a Hispanic guy talking NASCAR here on Chabdog.com and the iHeartRadio and Chabdog talk show, and that's a huge step.
Well, let's go.
That says a lot about how NASCAR is changing.
Let's go to our break, and I think we're going to throw a little more diversity into our clips and our music. Why don't you put on that Tupac thing at the break? And we'll be right back in 10.
We're back to NASCAR. Yeah, it's like it's going to be bigger now because Chabdog.
Yeah, because we're starting to get behind it, right?
We're on board now, so.
I am in my mind.
Stick around for the second half of the Chabdog Sports Talk Show. It's coming up.
Good point.
These quick messages.
We're told that greatness is exceptional when it should be expected. You choose every day to live your life intentionally, without apology for how bright your light may shine. So go be great. Go be brilliant. Go be you. Go defy life. The Defy Life movement is one that speaks to each of us in its own way. Defy Life Gear speaks to us all by reminding us that one size does not fit all. Visit DefyLifeGear.com to get fitted for greatness.
The law office of Brandon S. Chabner, serving clients in Southern California with transactional legal services since 2007. We handle general, corporate, outside counsel type work, drafting and negotiating a wide variety of business and commercial contracts, including non-disclosure agreements, independent contractor agreements, and employment agreements. Our experience includes working with public and private companies and involves a broad range of industries, including healthcare, consumer products, real estate, and high technology. Mr. Chabner has over 20 years of legal experience, having worked for some larger national firms and serving as general counsel for a multi-million-dollar private company here in Southern California before starting his own legal practice. His educational credentials include a law degree from UCLA, where he was on law review, undergraduate degree at Yale, where he graduated magna cum laude, and an MBA from Harvard Business School. Other areas of focus for Chabner Law include press release and business plan editing, pre-litigation matters, and debt and mortgage resolution work. You can contact us at 310-698-0740 and at bchabner@chabnerlaw.com.
Like Chabdog said, he was 100% right.
He can take all comers.
Oh yeah, I get around. Still clown with the underground when we come around. Stronger than ever. Back to get wrecked. All respect to those who break their neck to keep their hoes in check. Cause oh, they sweat a brother majorly. And I don't know why your girl keeps paging me. She tell me that she needs me. Cries when she leaves me. And every time she sees me, she squeeze me. Lady, take it easy. Hate to sound sleazy, but tease me. I don't want it if it's that easy. Hey yo, bust it. Baby got a problem saying bye-bye. Just another hazard of a fly guy. Your ass wide don't matter. My pockets got fatter. Now everybody's looking for the ladder. And ain't no need in being greedy. If you wanna see me, try to keep a number, baby, when you need me. And I'll be there in a jiffy. Don't be picky, just be happy with this quickie. But when you learn, you can't time it down, baby doll. Check it out. I get around. What you mean you don't know? Check it go. I get around. The underground just don't stop for hoes. I get around. Still down with the underground clown. Around they go. I get around. Yeah. Hey yo, shot. Let them hoes know.
Now you can tell from my everyday fits, I ain't rich, so cease and desist with them tricks. I'm just another black man caught up in the mix. Trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. Just cause I'm a freak don't mean that we can hit the sheets. Baby, I can see that you don't recognize me. I'm Shock G, the one who put the satin on your panties. Never knew a hooker that could share me. I get
What's up, love? How you doing? Right. Well, I've been hanging, singing, trying to do my thing. Oh, you heard that I was banging? Your homegirl you went to school with, that's cool, but did she tell you about her sister and your cousin? Thought I wasn't. See, weekends was made for Michelob, but it's a Monday, my day, so just let me hit it, yo. And don't mistake my statement for a clown. We can keep it on the down low, long as you know that I get around. Round and round, round they go. Too popular town, don't stop for hoes. I get around. Round and round, and round they go. Why ain't call you? Please. Fingertips on the hips as I tip. Gotta get a tight grip, don't slip. Loose lips ain't ships, it's a trip. I love the way she licks her lips. See me jocking, put a little twist in her hips, cause I'm watching. Conversations on the phone till the break of dawn. Now we all alone while the lights on. Turn them off, time to set it off. Get you wet and soft, something's on your mind, let it off. You don't know me, you just met me, you won't let me. Well, if I couldn't have it, why you sweat me? It's a lot of real G's doing time. Cause the groupie bit the truth and told a lie. You picked the wrong guy, baby, if you're too fly, you need to hit the door. Search for a new guy, cause I only got one night in town. Break out a B-clown, baby doll, are you down? I get around.
This is the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. From Tora.
Get that guy's number, Dick. I'll report it for safety violations.
I couldn't believe that the officer would say that. Like, not recognize it's a Japanese plane. It was funny. E.G. Marshall. They're still watching it.
I can't believe what this is. It's blue.
Come on.
There's this lag of reaction that I find to be kind of comical.
Alert. All commands. Air raid. Pearl Harbor.
Well,
This
you could say
is
that.
no drill.
I think I read there were something like 250 planes. 250 planes that flew in here.
It's supposed to be 300 and all.
That's a lot of planes. There go the torpedoes. Oh.
General quarters. Man your stations. Man your stations.
A lot of coordination. Logistics.
Yeah. They had their ship wired tight for this. I saw the training was pretty serious. Everybody knew what they were doing.
Battle station.
So, is this where they had, like, basically the Navy has half of its fleet in the Atlantic and half in the Pacific? Is that how it works? Well, I'm just trying to figure out how much damage was done by this attack. Because I know that they lost like 60 or 70% of the battleships.
Just the battleships, but as it turned out, the battleships weren't a big part. They didn't know this ahead of time. The battleships turned out.
So it wasn't as devastating as it was just more of a shocking thing.
Well, at the time when the battleship was there,
yeah.
They didn't know the aircraft carrier was going to be there.
And apparently the interesting thing was when the Japanese planes came back to the ships, the commander of the ship decided not to continue the attack. They wanted them to continue. The pilots did, and most
Someone
of the crew.
just said Pearl Harbor's being attacked.
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor's being attacked. Hey, you guys,
They pulled
Pearl
back
Harbor's
because
being
they
attacked.
take their wind and take it out of there because they stick around.
And they didn't know what they could have gained from continuing the attack or something.
And we're back. Well, they knew they could have gained more to the Chabdog Sports Talk Radio Show, Part 2. But they knew they could have gained more. But they also knew, we have a sure win. We got all of our planes, or most of them. We have very few losses, and we can escape now with the whole fleet and not have to fight anybody on the way out. Let's just take our wins and go home. That wasn't a bad strategy. I mean, really, they weren't going to get the aircraft carriers, so they go back in. Yeah, they could have taken care of the tank farms and blown up more of the oil reserves and that kind of stuff, and that would have delayed America, but not by that much.
I did learn when I was preparing for this show that this was declared a war crime.
What, the bombing of Pearl Harbor?
Yes, because it was done against the rules of international convention or law or something where they...
Rules
because
of war?
you're supposed to you're not supposed to. Well, how do I put this? They didn't declare war or declare this at the beginning of hostilities and then attack. They attacked first and did that later. So it was truly a surprise, and apparently that's what I heard. You can look it up.
You saw the movie, Tora, remember?
Yeah, I mean, I saw what was going on. The Japanese.
You remember the Japanese trying to decode the letter so they could give the letter saying that they're declaring war, but by the time they got the thing decoded and
there was a page they sent that was missing, and it sounds like it was intentionally not sent.
Oh well, but by the time they sent it was an hour past.
The whole thing was to delay the actual formal telling the Washington we're commencing war against you to after the surprise just started.
Mm-hmm.
But it was artfully done because they really did have us thinking they were trying to reach some kind of an agreement with us.
Let me put it this way. Given everything that happened after that they declared that a war crime is a rather Pyrrhic victory. I mean,
who cares?
Yeah, because, mail that to yesterday.
Because there have been surprise attacks throughout time.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
So,
but that was as funny, I thought, or interesting, and then the fact that I feel like we kind of let that happen by looking the other way or something.
Oh, hey, there's lots of conspiracy theorists out there that said Roosevelt and
they wanted that to
purposely
happen.
planned this because there was a big movement back then to stay out of the war and led by people like Charles Lindbergh and other large luminaries of the time.
You learn all sorts of things on this show. This is the Chabdog Sports Talk Show. You can find out more about the show by going to my website at chabdog.com where all the shows, chabdog.com, all the shows are listed there, and you got some posts. I actually post a lot now on the Facebook platform. There's a Chabdog Facebook page and also my personal page, Brandon Chabner, where I put things, and I will spread it out to the world from there, including onto my Pittsburgh Steelers page. I have one of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have a Pittsburgh Steelers fan page. Don't you have a Steffi Graf fan page?
No.
Oh. I thought you did.
No, I just mentioned her before as one of Andre Agassi's love interests.
Okay.
Who he ended up marrying.
But no fan page.
No. I'm not a huge fan of hers. I mean, she's got the greatest forehand probably of all time, and what a competitor, and what a champion.
Do you like her ankles? Does she have good ankles?
Actually, she does have nice legs.
There you go. And of course, we have Abe Miranda on Chabdog, second half of the show, and we have a guest.
And we have another guest from the 949 area code. So it sounds like this is the Southern California sports know-it-all, Noah. And Noah,
how you guys doing?
Nice to have you on the show. And,
thanks for having me. Good to be here.
He's got another biblical name like Abe Miranda. This is becoming a show of biblical proportions.
Oh, Abe and Noah,
right?
Love that.
Yep.
Love that.
Here we are.
This is Abe Miranda is another freak. He's a co-host now.
He's a co-host.
He's on the show with us, and comes to us from another person that used to be on the show. And this is Noah Prestwood. Did I get the last name right?
Nailed it. That's great. Yeah.
I try. I took my focus factors this morning, so I'm fine.
Focus factors.
No.
There you go. You're in good shape now.
But thank you for calling in. And the floor is yours. I know you just described yourself as a sports fanatic like us, which means you're qualified to call in. Even if you don't like sports, you can still call in. But you're a Southern California guy, right?
That's right. Yeah, born and raised in Southern California. Big fan of all of the local teams, apart from the Angels and the Clippers. So I'm a big Dodger fan. I'm a big Laker fan. I dabble in Kings hockey. Not a huge hockey fan, but hockey's a great sport. And then now that the Rams are back to being a NFL football fan with the Rams. So yeah, I follow all those teams very, very closely, and all those leagues very, very closely as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna probably go to an Angels game this summer with Well-Red and his wife, and because they're Royals fans. They're from Kansas City. She's from Kansas City, and my wife is a big Royals fan. So I like Angels Stadium. I haven't not experienced with the Dodgers, so I'm not going to lie to you.
There you go. Well, I have season tickets, and so maybe I'll take you to a game sometime.
Yeah, you can show me why being a Dodger, by going to Dodger Stadium is a holy experience.
I'll give you the full experience. You got to go to Philippe's before the game. You get a nice French dip.
French dip sandwich, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's delicious.
I like mine extra wet.
Stadium.
Yeah, Philippe's extra wet.
Is that within
Triple
walking
dip.
distance easily to go to Philippe's?
No,
that's a long one.
You have to
drive.
It's LA, right?
Yeah.
Everything's a drive in LA.
Yeah.
So you park in Philippe's,
Right.
have a sandwich, hop back into the car. It's maybe a 5-minute drive. It's probably a 30-minute drive with stadium traffic, but really, in reality, it's maybe a 5-minute drive without traffic to the stadium. It's really, really close. But on game days, it tends to get a little busy. So it ratchets up to about 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay, but it's part of the experience, and then
it's the whole thing, yeah.
But don't you have to save room when you go to the stadium for a Dodger dog, right?
Yeah, it's not like it's massive or something.
Naturally.
Yeah.
So the whole thing
inches.
with the Dodger dog, you got to make sure you get your Dodger dogs grilled.
Yep.
So there's various grilled stadium dogs throughout the park. But if you get a boiled Dodger dog, not the same experience. You got to get the grilled Dodger dog.
Why is it grilled better?
Now, there you go. You got to have it grilled.
Well, but why though? Like, can you explain that?
Why?
Yeah.
Oh, the flavor, the char, everything is a little bit better when it's grilled.
The char.
You see the grill marks on it.
Sounds like tanker.
It makes it taste that much. It tastes that much better in general, but you see the char marks, it makes it taste better.
Is the snap better on the grilled versus the boiled?
Much.
Really?
Much better.
Because I boil my dogs at home all the time, and they taste good to me.
Well, yeah, but he's a boil guy. So
Well,
he's already coming from a biased position.
My mom did that. She put them in boiling water.
But your mom makes the best brisket too.
She punished those dogs the way they should be punished.
My mother makes the best brisket.
But I'm willing to try anything, so I'll have that. And then you get
Chabdog. You've been to Dodger Stadium, right? Like you've been seeing the game there once. And you lived in LA for what, 25 years?
I know, but I don't. I think I've been there. I was there once, but it wasn't for. It was for some event, so that a client had an event there, so I went there.
Oh, but there was
the
no
parking
game.
lot.
A parking lot event.
I wasn't in there watching it.
Oh,
no.
dude, then you've got to pop your cherry here and get your ass in that stadium. It's fantastic.
What's the best thing about it?
Beautiful.
Oh God, geez, best thing. Yeah,
It's just impressive.
Just the ambience,
it's massive.
the architecture, and how the architecture placed man there. Like you feel that you're part of the stadium is part of you, and everything. The way it outcrops from Chavez Ravine and gives you the view of the city, and then it just doesn't. And then the different levels on there, and it's walk. Gee, where do I start?
But you don't hear a lot of people talking about Dodger Stadium, do you? The way that they talk about Fenway Park or one of those other classic stadiums.
Well, the Dodgers.
Go ahead, Dave.
Dodger Stadium is the third oldest stadium in all of baseball now, right behind Fenway, right behind Wrigley. So it's been around for a very, very long time. It's kind of that mid-century modern architecture, a lot of concrete, a lot of nice little lines. But they've remodeled it over the past 10 or so years. And so now it has just a really updated look and feel, and it feels really, really nice. And so the latest remodeling just kind of took place over the last 2 off seasons because of COVID. They would have had it done last year, but now it just got finished this year. And they have like a walk-up little center field area with a big old plaza. It's actually very, very beautiful, and they've done an amazing job keeping it up because it's been around since the late 50s.
Yeah.
So it looks and feels like a new ballpark now after a couple little renovations, and it's just a wonderful place to watch the game. As Well-Read was saying, the tiers of the stadium, you get really good views from each tier, and they're just different views. So I've been on every single tier from the 4th all the way down to the 1st, and it's just a different experience every time. And all experiences, in my opinion, have been positive. So it's a really great place to watch the game. The field looks amazing. And it's just it holds more than anybody else too. So the capacity is 55,000+, which is well more than anybody else in baseball too. So it's a big, huge park, but it doesn't feel huge, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, let's hear Abe. Can you tell us about any of your experiences in Dodger Stadium?
Yes, it's just, I think everything was covered. It's just great. It has a beautiful view of the city. I mean, beautiful view. You're up on Chavez Ravine and you're just looking down on the city. And let me tell you, when you have some of those afternoon games and the sun's coming down, you just get these spectacular views of the city. And, interesting enough, the Transit Authority is looking at installing a gondola system from Chavez Ravine to Union Station, and that might make the walking trips to Felipe's more possible, because you actually be within walking distance of Felipe's and Cielito Lindo's, which is another taquito spot that is actually very near Felipe's on Alvera Street, and that is also a popular kind of spot for Dodger fans, either before the game or after the game.
Know your LA.
So
they got to make this. They got to make this little more user friendly.
Well, they don't have to make anything, but that would be great if they did.
Be a
and
good,
that'd be a wonderful improvement.
A good infrastructure project.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Get those homeless people back to work.
It would be a beautiful view too, because it's just Union Station is strategically placed at a nice spot with great view of the buildings, and then you have Chavez Ravine, which is up on the hill, and then I can only imagine that beautiful gondola ride over Chinatown, Alvera Street, Chinatown, and heading up towards the stadium. And I think that would just add a cute little thing to Dodger Stadium. You usually associate some sort of transportation to stadiums. Sometimes there's an airport nearby, like Citi Field. You see the planes land. Some stadiums are close to railroad tracks. We don't have anything in at Dodger Stadium. We have cars. We have a big parking lot, and we have a lot of cars. And we do have the Dodger Express, which is a shuttle bus that goes down from Chavez Ravine to Union Station. But the gondola system might be something very unique and really cool to add. Now, for me personally, I always thought it would be cool to add a monorail to wrap around the stadium. But now that I think of it, I think that would be more fitting at Angel Stadium from, let's say, the train station there next to the Honda Center and the Angel Stadium. So you got both where the Ducks play and Angel Stadium is nearby, and there's a huge transit center that's kind of in the middle of the two.
Yeah,
and I think it would be cool if they had a monorail that went to the Honda Center, it went to the Angel Stadium, and then maybe went to the mall just down further south.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I wonder if that was the original plan, because now that I look at it, that just makes so much sense in that location there, because they got that great transit hub building right there. It's an island by itself, but it's right there, next to the stadium and next to the two stadiums there,
Well, there's a project
and it
for
would
you.
be so cool
Exactly.
to see a monorail at center field. Like you see a monorail just kind of zipping by as the game is going by. I mean, it's just such a cool thing.
Well, Noah, do you do any urban planning?
It's not on my resume at the moment.
No, he does title insurance.
I might get into that. Yeah, I do title insurance instead of urban planning. So maybe I can, make sure that the land is free and clear before we start our project.
Yeah, or find out who owns the land.
And hire Abe as your transportation consultant. Abe's into trains.
I can definitely map out a route with the land and use some eminent domain to take control.
There you go. And
that's
we're
why
all into getting, not just Abe, but all of us are into getting consulting fees. So
yeah, I have some ideas on how they could easily fix this. It's a bottleneck. Basically, that parking lot is a bottleneck for the Dodger station. So they have to figure out a way to, take the pressure off that bottleneck.
Yeah, but that never kept me from a game. I just come early and leave.
Yeah,
late.
but it does affect your mindset. Like I don't want to get stuck in that traffic. I really don't.
Yeah,
maybe
so
you do.
Arrive early? No, I arrive early. I leave late.
There's
I'm
a
never
lot of
stuck in the
people out
traffic.
there though that have different tolerances for that, and if you lowered that as a factor, then
you'd open up.
It should increase. I would think demand
the
on
neurotic people out there would be able
price
to get
on
more
the
access
price
to
for
the
the
Dodgers,
tickets.
and why shouldn't they?
So they should be able to benefit from this at Dodgers if they paid attention. But I know there's been this COVID thing that's kind of made it all irrelevant.
You know that Larry David clip I used to play of he picked up the hooker so you could ride in the carpool lane to get to the Dodger game?
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
When it shows up on Larry David, it
so
means
you
it's
want more
arrived.
neurotic people in the stadium? Okay. And there's enough neurotics there already.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
take Xanax, thank goodness. It's LA.
So, Noah, you know, being a guest on the show, you do have some input. If we have a group of clips and you want to tell us what you'd like to hear, we can always accommodate you on that end.
Oh, you've given the guest the pick of the day. Okay.
I have.
Well, we've got...
we have like a wrestling clip.
We got Henry Fonda from the Oxbow incidents, where he does a little conscience monologue here about the angry mob against the law-abiding people.
Mm-hmm.
We have Jesse Owens at the Berlin Olympics in
We
1936.
can't play that
Historical
whole
clip
thing.
there.
We could
no,
play
we
a
could play
little
the first
part
3
of
or
it.
4 minutes of it. Oh, then there's Bruce Jenner running the 400 in the 1976 decathlon.
Can we really get that?
The next potential governor of
So
California.
this is Bruce Jenner running as Bruce Jenner, and not Caitlyn Jenner running as Caitlyn
But it's
Jenner.
Bruce Jenner.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's play Bruce Jenner.
Oh, so you're taking executive action then?
Yeah.
Here at Omaze, we
I want to see
get a chance to win some
how manly Caitlyn once was.
Well, you can be manly and be a girl. He proves it.
Decathlon, 400 meters. Remember, they have been out here for 8 hours.
What I
competing
loved
in
about
the
this
standings,
clip was
as
that
you
we
see,
had
after
Keith
4
Jackson
events,
doing
and
the
no Jenner in there in
announcing.
third
Wasn't
place.
that great?
Now, as
Whoa,
for the 5 men that we have been watching all day very carefully, Kretschmer has been at the top.
Kretschmer.
Jenner sitting in there. Fred Dixon of the United States still 6th. Litvinenko of the Soviet Union is in the 16th position, and that's exactly where he was in
So
1972
Bruce Jenner was
before he
third
bolted out of the pack
at this
and
point.
came on to win the silver medal. Now, as we get set for this 400-meter run, let's set the lanes for you, and I
Jenner
think
right
as
there?
we go along,
Yeah, he's
you'll
getting
get some
ready.
idea of
Warm-ups,
how
he's
much
got
is
orange
at stake. Now, you
warm-up
see
pants on.
Lottie of Finland.
It's
He'll
about
be running in
76
lane
is
number
the
1
popular
from
colors.
France. Guinness
Mm.
Farol. He's in lane number 2. Fred Dixon of the United States will be in lane number 3.
Pretty good
Fred
himself.
Dixon with a 48.7 personal record in this event. Running in lane number 4, Remo Heel of Sweden.
Yeah,
And
Swedish
he
colors.
is going to be one of the slower people in this particular event. At least his
There's
personal
Jenner.
history indicates that. Bruce Jenner's
How old do you
personal
think he
record
was
is
there? Was that like
48.5
23?
in this particular
He's
event.
got Dorothy Hamill hair.
Goes
though,
it
you notice
I
that?
know.
Hamill hair.
It's very puffy and
Been
out
something
all
of a
over the
surprise
place.
in hanging as
the
close
Dorothy
as he
Hamill
has.
haircut.
And Avila, the
had
current
style
world
there.
record holder, will be in lane number 7. And Guido Kretschmer of West Germany, who has been in the lead from the very beginning this morning,
Guido from
is still sitting there on
Germany.
top. And he has a 48.5 personal record. Avila 48.5. It's amazing how close they all are
I know.
in their personal records.
Doesn't that
as
slow you
far as
down?
400 meters is concerned. But a particularly outstanding effort by someone.
You don't see a lot of
could
sprinters
change
with
some of
thick
the standings,
beards.
though it would
Sideburns.
seem that it'll take a stunning
Look at all
time
that hair.
to make much of a difference in the
his
top
eyebrows.
3.
He kind of looks like
Bruce Jenner of the United States that figured that if he could be
Yeah,
in that
it is.
5th, 6th position at the end of the first 5 events, he'd be in
It's a
good
little
shape
like Ruth
because
Buzzy here.
the second day is the strongest for him. But he's ahead of his schedule
Something
right
more
now,
puffy.
sitting in 3rd place as he prepares to run 400 meters in the 5th event of the decathlon. It is a cool, comfortable
Watch
time
him run,
for
though.
him. There'd be no problem with heat. Just bone weary after 8 hours of competition, and we've got a fair start. Now as they come off the turn, let's see what's happening with Jenner and Dixon. Kretschmer is outside in lane number 8, and he's moving it very well. Avilov is out in lane number 7, but here is Jenner up in lane number 5. And Jenner
I mean,
is
this was the guy with the most testosterone in the whole world.
Jenner is really turning
76.
it on. Dixon now beginning to make his
He's just
move.
blown
But as we
through
run
the
turn,
competition
Jenner
like
is winning the turn.
a knife through
All the
butter.
way. Kretschmer outside, beginning to tie just a little bit. Avilov, you see, coming into the picture. It is Jenner holding the lead.
He's
coming
pushing
off the
hard.
turn. Bruce Jenner has the lead. Kretschmer struggling on the outside. Avilov not trying to come back.
Guido makes a run, but
Won't count you.
And as they come to the finish line, it is Bruce Jenner way out in front. Oh, Jenner wins it big, 47-5-2. That's unofficial. Neal of Sweden is second. Avila comes on to get a third. Buckner finished fourth, and Fred Dixon was fifth. Checking the time for Bruce Jenner.
Could be the next governor of California. It's a possibility.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to the next governor of California.
98 points through 5 events. Buckner with a 48-19, 889 points, will stay in first place, however. His he totals 43-33, and looking at Avilov's time, 48-16 for that 400 meters. That's 889 points for a total of 4,315.
Boy, he's really worked up into a passion there. Keith Jackson is.
Mm-hmm.
Noah, do you ever watch South Park? Have you ever seen a South Park episode?
Oh, of course. South Park is one of the all-time favorites.
Oh, perfect. So you know how Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner is portrayed in South Park?
Okay, well, so here's the thing. I haven't watched South Park in the recent history of South Park, but in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, I haven't really kept up to date. But as I was growing up, South Park was a fixture in the household.
Oh, absolutely. And they had Jenner. So Jenner was in there as the running mate to Mr. Garrison. And Mr. Garrison became the Trump character and became president there through that term. Now he's back.
I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah, so he was, and so Jenner was, and Jenner.
And Trump is now getting involved. His campaign manager, I think, is getting involved with the Jenner campaign.
Apparently, who knows what's reporting is correct, but that's.
So this is really taking a funny turn.
Yeah.
Or some people would say alarming turn.
Well, but hey, all the transgender people have to be on board with this. If they're not, they're. I don't know.
California,
so you can laugh and say they're hypocritical, even
it's
though
hard
they think that's unfair.
It's hard to believe California would be anything other than Democrat, but in a weird election like this, who knows?
Well, Jenner's not Democrat?
I think everybody's fed up with Newsom, so it's just it is what it is.
Yeah, except my wife. She's the only defender.
He has some support. Let's not pretend. But
he has a very strong base.
So
and he will not go down with
this
a strong
goes. This
fight,
goes to
another
election. I don't know.
He will fight
how.
dirty if he has to. I mean, he'll. Do
oh wow! I didn't know we had this clip. Showering with Inger Stevens. Is that right?
Showering.
Oh, that's one of the selections on
one
YouTube that I'm looking at here.
Geez. You and Inger Stevens.
Do you know who Inger Stevens is?
Yeah. Do we have any more obscure blonde references?
I don't think these guys know who she was. This isn't again being dated.
I'm unfortunately not familiar with her.
I'm educating you. She was a beautiful Swedish actress who was in various movies as the sexy wife, usually, or some kind of love interest. Clint Eastwood had a movie with her, Hang 'em High.
Hang 'em High, where he was unjustly hung. And he comes back for revenge, and so she plays a love interest in that movie.
And then she was with George Papard in this scene in a train. This is another train movie, Abe.
Oh yeah, they're on a train.
You also have bony ankles.
He's trying to come on to her in the sleeping car.
I also have a large mole which you will not come upon.
I'm sorry to hear it.
You don't even like me, Mr. Davis.
Not a hell of a lot.
Still, you'd make love to me, wouldn't you?
You take any man in the country and jam him up against a woman wearing half an ounce of lace underwear, lady.
Why don't you like me?
Because you're about as dangerous as an open manhole.
I love
a lot
that
of guys have dropped in and never been heard from again.
A lot of guys dropped in and never
Take
been
the
heard
late
from
Sidney
again.
Scott.
They drowned him in the bathtub, like they drown an animal. And they threw his body in the Seine. Because he wanted to help me and Paul.
What about your husband? You didn't pull a plug on him either, huh?
Put it in his file. You can keep it down in there?
Oh, it's the porter. Oh, gosh. I can see some. Oh, wow.
I have your passport, madam, and I have changed your money into lira.
The guy's closing his eyes.
Thank you.
Open them up. You don't know what you're missing.
You will have to sign your receipt for the money.
I'm in bed, as you can see.
Oh, nonetheless.
I don't know. I always
There's a clear view.
multiple choice tests. I usually say B, but
B. Okay. I
that
got
actually,
expert opinion. It
I
says
don't
it's a
know.
B.
I think they're just perfect. Whatever
The
that
Bs.
letter is.
Yeah, it's a B.
She just
You
stood
appear
up
to
and
be
gave it.
staring at me, monsieur.
Well before
Madam,
the
for
time
30
of
years, my
augmentation.
wife has worn a green flannel nightdress to bed. A tent with a high neck and long sleeves and many, many buttons. Naturally, I stare. Do you blame me?
No, indeed. Let's see.
Oh my God.
You like the panties?
I'm sorry they can't see this, so
You keep it cool, don't you?
you guys hear our reaction.
Yes.
That's my reaction.
I'm seeing a lot of potential bush there. Wow.
And I
Nice
intend to
wrap
see
that
that you
like
keep yours.
Oh,
X-ray discussion. Oh, and it's
poor George Papard.
Poor George Papard. Wasn't
Yeah.
George
I
Papard?
feel a little cheated that I didn't get to see that, but it's okay.
What's the name of that movie? Anyway,
Oh, I thought you knew.
I should know that. It was with George Papard. What the hell? You just clicked off of
keep
it.
thinking of the 18.
It's gone.
It's gone.
It was 1964 or something.
Uh-huh.
I'll send you a reminder to check it out sometime.
Well,
I'm just trying to broaden your horizons. And
Listen, any horizon can be broad. It's all good. I'd love to see it.
yeah, and
So is George Papard gay? By the way,
I wouldn't
Not
even
that it
think
matters.
that.
What?
I wouldn't even have thought that.
Does anybody know?
He was in
Breakfast
what
and
was he
Tiffany's.
in the A Team, right?
The 18. That's all I
Yeah.
can think about. But really, he did do the breakfast in Tiffany's way back. in the
Yeah,
day.
he's just a really good-looking, kind of Aryan type actor, blonde,
like Rock
blue
Hudson.
eyes. Rock. He's a blonde version of Rock Hudson,
Mhm.
but not as famous, I don't think.
No, yeah, no.
But as for that what you just said, I have no basis for saying that.
Saying what?
That he's gay.
I didn't say he was gay. I asked
Wasn't that what you were saying?
No, I posed the question.
Oh, he asked. So
Yeah.
I just said I have no basis for even.
Guys, what you get when you do a show with a lawyer.
Usually,
Yeah,
when
go,
you
"Oh,
say that, you're
by
saying
the way,
it because the guy seems like he's probably that way. Are you trying to say that?
I'm just saying I was argumentative today.
I know. Well, I just think I was just like, why are you even saying that?
Are you saying defamation? Is that what you're saying? Unbelievable.
Oh, hey, but not that there's anything wrong.
Like,
with
how
that.
would you like it if you're friends with
course
Eric?
not.
Oh,
Of
is he
course
gay?
I used to get that all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually, I had a girl say that to me once, but I think she said it because she was trying to be funny. Because I know she liked me, so I sometimes people say that to you, and you're just like, oh, why don't you try to pull my chain some other way? So
Yeah, what if she was serious?
Anyway,
She could be. She could have been serious.
we're really digressing
Yes,
here. So I guess the Lakers are just lying in wait to start playing serious basketball. Is that what's going on?
I mean, I guess they're just really, really banged up, but they're starting to get a little healthier. But Anthony Davis does not look like Anthony Davis. So they played 2 games back-to-back against the Dallas Mavericks, who are chasing them in the standings. And, they've been missing some guys. And Davis coming back is a big plus, but they're missing KCP now. And so he didn't play on the last game. And they're really just missing LeBron, because once LeBron and Anthony Davis come back and they play on the same team in that starting 5, I still don't think there's a team that can beat the Lakers. But at the moment, they're just, like you said, lying in
Anthony
wait.
Davis
And
didn't look
it's-
he really didn't look good when I saw him. He kind of looked sluggish and lacked explosiveness.
It was, I think he was shooting. He shot a really poor percentage last night from the field. He's not the same on defense. The intensity just wasn't there. And so he's just working his way back. So he's on a minutes restriction. The first game he played, he only played in the first half. In the second game, he played sparingly. So he played 6-minute chunks. So 6 minutes in the first, 6 in the second, 6 in the third, and 8 in the fourth. And it's just not the same guy. Not the same guy.
I don't
So
know.
give him a couple weeks. He he should be back, and then LeBron will be back in about a week or so, and then hopefully they'll be able to kind of regain that form and take it to the next level. But we'll see.
Is my theory on Anthony Davis is that it's not just his injury that's slowed him down or the problem. He made the mistake of shaving off his monobrow, and that was like
Did he really?
that was
That's
like Samson getting rid of his hair or something. Remember when she cut off all his hair?
Back to Michigan and his wife.
Maybe that's part of his problem. Yeah, he had a pronounced monobrow. I think since he's been in Los Angeles, they want to make him more marketable. So, but
unibrows are better lovers. That's universally known.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I know a unibrow person actually.
Hey, yo, man, get the
So you don't like the Clippers? That's the other thing I remember is what you said. You're not a Clippers fan, right?
It's not that I hate the Clippers. I'm just not a Clippers fan, right? The Clippers, for my entire existence, have been kind of an afterthought. Now they're trying, in the last 7 to 8 years, have been trying to be relevant, and they still can't get out of the second round. And so it's more funny than it is anything. But with Kawhi and Paul George, you never know what can happen.
Yeah.
But as soon as they can make a Western Conference Final, maybe they can talk. But until then, they can keep quiet.
Spinal.
Well, that guy next door needs some W4D40 or something.
He's using an electric screwdriver to attach a kick
Can you
plate
hear
to
that?
the bottom of a door.
There's this.
I don't hear that.
Good. Yeah, the microphones are working. I have them set up correctly so they don't pick up.
It's like a blackboard, fingernails on the blackboard type sound.
I'm thankful that I get to miss out on that. It's really good.
Yeah. Well, you could definitely being a hockey fan in Los Angeles is not worth it right now.
But it was in 2014 when they won the cup.
Would you like me to do a hockey update? Because nobody ever talks about hockey, but I think we should mention it.
Please.
Hockey update, please.
Yeah, okay.
I need to learn.
This is like all from memory because thanks to Gary Bettman, there's 6 divisions or something with corporate sponsor names, and there's no way that I'm going to remember them. All I know is that
no disrespect to the Orientals.
There have been some surprises this year. The Toronto Maple Leafs are really good, and who else is good that isn't usually good or isn't usually that good? Edmonton's pretty good. The thing with hockey is you have like almost all the teams have good records, so because of the way they keep track of these losses, and overtime losses are not real losses or something, so it makes it a little bit confusing because
my method's unsound.
Like 12 teams with really strong records, and all the normal people, the Bruins, the Penguins, the Golden Knights are really highly rated. The Stars, I don't even know if the Stars are one of the top teams this year, but they're still dangerous. The Capitals, the Lightning, who won it last year, all these teams. It seems a little like the West is not as strong as the East this year. So I don't know if that helped anyone, but basically this year in the NHL should be a great playoffs with a bunch of really good teams playing each other. And I don't know, Tampa Bay could repeat, but I think the odds are they won't.
You're a fucking freak, you know that?
Does anybody else care?
It's always tough to repeat in any sport.
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting playoff, that's for sure.
Hey, what do you think?
Well, it looks like we've already clinched Vegas, Colorado, Minnesota Wilds.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've
already
clinched a playoff spot. So we've got some really good teams. I mean, the Minnesota Wilds were doing really good this season, and they're doing really great. So can't take away from the Vegas, Colorado, Minnesota. They've been playing great. Carolina, I would say that one.
Yeah, Carolina
isn't the one that I think of a lot in Discover Center. I mean, right?
Why are they so
Not
good?
the one I'm always.
I guess
good.
they've actually been pretty good.
That answers that question.
Yeah,
no, they're just good.
And Florida's not
Florida Panthers.
Yeah. and then the
they
normal
look
other
pretty good.
teams. So
the Devils suck.
Yeah.
That's
They're one of the
team
few
that I
sucky
normally
teams.
follow.
The Islanders are good
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, they're doing better than the Devils.
Mhm.
They're doing better than Boston. They're not doing too bad. Red
Wings suck.
The best
Suck.
New York team. That's the best New York team in the East right now. would
I
be
guess
the
the
Islanders.
Islanders or the Rangers. Are the Rangers any good?
The Rangers are they're in 5th. The Islanders are in 3rd.
Yeah.
And Boston is in 4th. So
Yeah. I kind of look at
they're doing better than the Rangers.
the first 4 teams are a cut above the next 4. I think the Bruins are still
Yeah, but
a
if you
quality
look at-
team.
Yeah, you got Buffalo at 8. So there's a New York team.
Buffalo.
You got
Oh, they're horrible.
New
They
Jersey at 7.
You gotta talk about a fucking dog dying.
Buffalo's an 8.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a New York. Then you got New Jersey, which is 7th. Then you have the Rangers in 5th. So then that's it. And then you have the Islanders in 3rd.
What about Montreal?
So
Where are
they're
they?
doing the best.
How much for the women?
Montreal 4th.
How much
They're
for the little
4th.
girl?
Toronto is in 1st.
Oh, I see. You're going division by division here. Okay. Yeah.
Toronto.
And we let him off the hook.
Toronto's in the what division is that?
First place.
Maybe
North.
the first
The
out. don't worry.
AutoZone
Scotia.
Central Division.
AutoZone punkier
Scotia
neighbor division.
North. Scotia North
Yeah.
Division.
I hate it.
No, Okay. you
don't hate it. I know you don't.
Eric is just mindlessly running through the different sound bites here.
No, but you really have a dislike for these sponsored divisions.
Oh, okay.
You don't hate it.
Yeah, no, I do hate it, but
I am having fun with the board. Yeah.
Yeah, we have various sound bites here, Noah, that I don't probably need to explain this to you. If you ever want to hear past shows, just go to Spreaker or Blog Talk Radio, and
It's actually right on your website too. All the shows are
yeah,
listed there.
but
Just
I
scroll
think
down.
did we already go through this? I don't know if on my
well,
website
maybe not the
it
whole.
goes back all the way because
No.
we have shows from 2014.
Oh yeah, I'm sure everybody wants to listen to 2000.
Those are the oldies and goodies.
What? Yeah, Tank's on there.
Yeah.
You can hear Tank's beginnings. You can hear the show before we even had Tank, before we knew what a tank was.
We even had a soccer game on once, the World Cup soccer game.
Well, it actually was World Cup. That was
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yeah, but I like sports a lot. Noah, you probably you follow the scores every night?
I follow scores just about every night for most sports. Well, I shouldn't say that. I should say for baseball and basketball, for Premier League soccer, and
playoffs.
When college basketball is going, I follow some college basketball and college football as well. But yeah, so I keep track of who's doing what when.
Mm-hmm. I try to report on the things every night, but I don't cover
Yeah,
every
dude,
game. If you go to my website, you can see it. And
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a very handy resource if I didn't catch what was going on to get a little summary of what happened. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Noah, do you ever put any action on the games?
I'm just a slight bit. Nothing.
just
too
enough to
wild.
keep him
Okay.
perky.
Just a taste. Exactly.
That's why you got
It always feels so
information there.
good to win one of those bets, because you know how many
Oh, of
times you're
course,
wrong,
yeah.
and like you
Exactly right. That's why you do it.
feel
right?
like
When
you
hit
kind of
that
feel like
next
you
one,
got away with something when you
Of
win
course.
a little money.
Free money. Free money on something I knew. Yeah.
That you knew, yeah, and logically that is when it works. That's exactly what it
You
looks
could
like.
probably get something for putting money down on the Lakers winning the whole thing.
At this point, yeah, I don't think their odds should be nearly as good as, in my opinion, they actually are. Because the way they've been playing recently, it's still.
Yeah,
they've been struggling. They've been struggling pretty fiercely.
You know who was one
they
of
gotta
the
get healthy, and once they do, they still got a good chance.
You know who was one of the best gamblers of all time? Was better on sports was Bobby Riggs. He bet on a lot of different stuff, and
Oscar Madison was also.
Unfortunately, he lost to Billie Jean King, but
a gambler
for him. But yeah, we have an odd couple clip with Bobby Riggs in it. You want to hear it?
Let's hear it.
Yeah,
we're making a bet.
Would you like to have a chance to get even?
I've never been even in my whole life. You mean I can win everything back?
Yes.
I got nothing left to bet with.
Tell you what, I'll bet you for Felix.
Bet Felix?
Yeah, you know he does the washing, the cooking, takes care of stuff. You know.
Oh, Bobby, you'll like Felix.
Big Al. Murray
That's
the
not a
police.
bad idea. I don't have to tell him if I lose. He does that stuff anyway. What's the bet?
I'm going to make it easy for you.
What?
I'm going to bet you that you can't type your name right in 10 seconds.
What do you do? What'd you do? You monkeying around with the keys? You rearrange the letters?
No. Just psychological pressure.
But that's no psychological pressure. I've been writing my name on my column for 10 years. What do you think, Murray?
He's a sports writer.
Crack, you'll be great. Just Oscar Madison, right?
Right.
You got yourself a bet. Now, no tricks, right?
No tricks.
I type my name in 10 seconds, I get everything back, right?
Right.
Okay, buddy, you got it. Oscar Madison. Let me find Oscar Madison.
Want to increase the bet? Make it for something more interesting?
I'm already betting a human being. How can I make it more interesting?
Poor Felix.
Murray. Okay, Oscar Madison, this is it. For the whole bundle, let's go.
Ready?
Yeah.
Go. 1, 2, 3.
Here we go. 3, 7 seconds. Here we go.
Oscar Matasoy.
I'm not
Hey, if you had been Chinese, you'd have won.
How could I have made a mistake like that?
Well, you see the last letter? You typed a Y instead of an E.
I know what I did.
Oscar,
the
I'm going
machine.
to give you another chance. Go ahead.
You will?
Oh, isn't he a nice guy?
Here we go. Ready? Okay. Go. 1, 2, 3. Okay. There we go. 7 seconds. And there it is. Oscar Matter socks.
Felix puts the jacket on Bobby Riggs.
Shoes shine, laundry to take in, pick up suits, call for a dental appointment, and don't forget to pick up the grandmother's piano.
Get the door, Felix. I love the canned laughter in the background. Felix is upset. Walking over to the table where Oscar's eating.
I'm sorry, Felix. I had nothing left to bet with. He likes you. Believe me, I felt lousy when I lost you. Ask Murray, he'll tell you.
In 1776, Thomas Jefferson signed the Declaration of Independence. In 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. But in 1973, American history was rewritten by Oscar Matasoy, who cast his best friend into slavery. Well, if you think I'm going along with this, you're crazy. Hungers have always been free.
Felix, go along with it a little bit. Otherwise, I'll be known as a Welsher all over town. Believe me, I'll win you back.
No, you won't. You'll lose double or nothing, and I'll have to bring in my brother from Buffalo. I'll win myself back.
Ah, what are you going to do? Challenge him to a floor waxing contest?
Sure, there's plenty I can do better than Mr. Riggs.
Felix, what can you do that he can't do better?
It was a toupee, Jack Gold.
I bet I can hold a note longer.
Yeah, you can tell. You look pretty good, though. You know, it was like... Is it kind of toupee? Oh. Uh-oh. Hey, it's Penny Marshall.
I beat Bobby Riggs.
Congratulations, Felix.
I got to get back to work. I got to finish this column.
I beat him.
Good for Felix.
That was great.
Yeah. Odd Couple was a great show. It was hilarious. Oscar was a big sports fanatic.
And a big gambler. Always in the hook to somebody.
He's always been kind of an inspirational character, but...
yeah, your inner office reminds me sometimes.
Yeah, but I did clean it recently, so I feel more Felix-like. Yeah.
Jeez,
I reached my breaking point. Every once in a while, you reach a breaking point. You have to do something. Spring cleaning.
Clint Eastwood movie.
I didn't want it to look like the Barstool offices.
Apocalypse Now. There's streets in L.A. that look cleaner than Barstool. Ugh. Oh, the tents on the way to... because we were driving through Boyle Heights along the 101. Yeah, it's a little bit messy up there.
God, I mean, just think of all the tent cities that have cropped up. If you go to Venice, we go around the beach on Venice.
Yeah, we're just talking in the studio here about driving up the 101 yesterday afternoon, just seeing the tents and such. And Chabdog in Venice, you saw them over there. And you don't have any in Manhattan Beach. You don't have any on Bruce's Beach, do you?
It's funny. It's not going to probably happen in a place, I don't know, that's...
English,
Venice is
motherfucker,
just,
do you speak it?
I don't know, Venice is just...
Hello?
There's no...
Hello?
There should be enough money there to kind of deal with the situation and the problem, but...
It's funny how history plays a role in these things, too, because Venice, for a long time, once the oil rigs were in there, it was just a raped land. And then when they came down, it was just a mess for a while. Nothing was cleaned up, uncapped and dirty, and it attracted all the beatniks and cheap rent because that's all there was there, and artists and creative people too. And then it became this really cool place for a while, but it's always tolerated everybody because it was a time when that's all there was everybody there who didn't have a dollar and was behind on the rent or behind in life or behind in their mind or otherwise was attracted to that spot. And then when people made money, they were opened up their heart and showed that there was a place there for everybody. You know, the freak show there on Venice Beach. But now it's a homeless show.
It must affect the business around there.
Yeah, they're all closed. Or not all closed, but a lot of them are either closed or reduced capacity.
Well, I mean, now that COVID's winding down, that's ready to start back up.
Yeah, I saw a report. Do you ever play in the handball courts there?
I see people doing that. And there's like mini tennis platform courts there.
Yeah, the courts there for racquetball and such.
It's a great place, great area.
Well, they were all inhabited over the COVID. There were people camping there and squatting there. And just last week they cleared it all out. And
so they did
rehab.
They moved people out. And,
yeah. Oh, and by the way, didn't the court this week made a ruling that Mr. Mayor Garcetti has to spend the $1 billion he intends to spend on actually housing people and then show the receipts to the court.
Good.
And the city of Los Angeles objected, so they're fighting it in court. They filed an objection to stay the judge's order because they don't want to show. I'm sure they want to house people, but for some reason they don't want to show the receipts. It just.
All right. Well, we're out of time here. We didn't get to promote. I didn't get to tell people a lot about Noah's business, but you're in title insurance. That's a very important area for real estate transactions, and Noah knows a lot about that. How long have you been in that business, Noah?
Well, I've been in title for upwards of 10 years, which is hard to imagine. Yeah, I just had to do that math, and wow, 10 years.
Yeah,
so it's been a good ride.
So Noah is entitled to be a title expert. And
there you go.
Definitely think of him for your title insurance needs. And where do you work? What's your company?
I work at First American Title in Orange County.
Yeah, that's like the first name in title insurance, I think. First American.
That's the one. Yeah.
It's like
one of the biggest
Chicago title company, and there are a few other big boys, big players, and that's one of them. So I think that speaks volumes that you've been successful there. And comes to me from a client friend of mine who I think she has quality friends and quality network. And so thank you very much for calling into the show. Anytime you're welcome to keep in touch and call back in. Okay.
Well, I appreciate you having me, and I'd love to call again.
Yeah, Thank you. Of course, Abe Miranda, for that racing update and your contribution to the show every week. It's invaluable, and I'm looking forward to meeting you next week. So we'll be doing that on Thursday, right?
Thursday.
Yeah, and
Thursday.
Mm-hmm. And thank you, Eric, for another great show. Well, tight preparation here. This was like a knife through butter. This
wired wall to wall.
Yeah, wired tight. So, what are we gonna go out with here?
I like that Courtship of Eddie's father's theme song. I know it's an old show, but this is and especially the preamble here, where the son's asking the father about rules.
It's always good for us to consider that. And then, do you want to play the after that? Do you want to play something else like the?
We can do Walk the Line. Or,
wrestling clip.
Which one?
How about the city night in the city? That's a powerful one.
Oh, to go out on that. I'll go out on a non-musical clip.
Oh.
Night in the City? Where's Night in the City?
Night in the City, yeah, right there. Yeah.
All right.
All right, we'll go out on that, and that'll be it for this week. Check out chabdog.com, where I do my posts, and also Chabdog, if you type that into Facebook, chabdog.com on Facebook. We'll cover the week's events and in sports and other music, film observations I have as things come up, and I kind of prepare for the show. I basically use my Facebook to prepare for the show. So
yeah, you can see where it's going a week in advance.
Yeah, and
like Jay Leno. Yeah.
Thank you for everybody that pays attention to it and follows this show, and send me any suggestions, because we're always trying to make it better. Okay.
Or dirty messages.
Thank you, Ida, too, for
show contributor.
Being a watchful eye on what's going on here, and she's sort of like the choreographer. She gives us little directions, and usually gets to one of us and makes the show a little better. I think.
Yes. So far, so good.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Actually, it's a nice dynamic. I hope that never. I mean, I think it's like customer service, customer feedback, and yeah. So. Yeah, this is the great.
Can I roll the ending, please?
Yeah, roll it, please.
Have a great week, everybody.
Dad, why do we have rules?
Well, so people can live together in peace and harmony.
I don't know if we have too many rules or not enough.
Maybe we have too many people.
Then we need more rules.
Then we have less freedom.
What do we do about that?
Eddie, you've just put your small thumb on a big question.
Did you ever try to think of just nothing?
Yeah, pretty hard, isn't it?
Yeah, something always keeps sneaking in there.
People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted person who loved me till the end. People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a one-boy, cuddly toy, my up, my down, my pride and joy. People, let me tell you about him. He's so much fun. Whether we're talking man to man or whether we're talking son to son, 'cause he's my best friend. Yeah, he's my best friend. La la, ba da 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 ya, ba da 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 ba da 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 ya.
Please get out. Go teach a woman. I crush you like.
Oh, wait.
I break you on my chicken bone.
Yeah, that's enough of that.
Get behind old man, shoeshine boy. Gregorius the Great.
I'm gonna get out of there.
Greatest has ever known. He never lose. Never lose. He never wrestles.
Stop it!
Stand in ring and make wrestling joke.
What? Stop it! Nicholas, let me go.
No!
Let me go!
Get out!
Will you get out?
Get out!
Let me go!
Let me go!
Nicholas, I told you to get out. Get out!
Nicholas, please!
Gregorius Nicholas' wrist is broken! It's broken, Gregorius' wrist! Maniac!
Hey, Ben! Hey, Ben, come out of that! Hey, Ben, come out of that ring!
Beer, we gotta stop him! We gotta stop him!
Can't. The only way to stop him now is to shoot him like mad bulls.
Keep out of that! Keep out of there!
They'll get killed.
Gregorius! Arm lever! Arm lever! Gregorius! Arm lever! Lever, Gregorius! No! No! Get your arms around him! Bear hug, Gregorius! Bear hug! Bear hug! Hold on! Now! Now you got it!
Oh, he's doing a spinal compression on her.
Hold it! Hold it! Hold it!
Quickly switched over around his neck. He's got him in a chokehold. He's getting kicked in the kidneys.
Stop! Stop it! Stop!
Oh, he got it. It's no problem. It's too far now.
Keep it up, Gregorius! Keep it up! Keep it up! Keep it up!
It's not going to stop him. This is back up.
The bear hug, Gregorius! The bear hug! That's it! Don't let him go! Hold on! Hold on, Gregorius! Hold on! That's it! You've got him! You've got him! You've got him!
Get a bear hug on him. If you squeeze it so hard, he's cutting off all the circulation or something. Threw him down like a rag doll. Oh, he's still breathing.
Papa.
That's what I do to your clowns.
Because his thing was that's not that stuff is not real wrestling.
Yeah.
He's in the Greco-Roman standard wrestling. The other guy does professional.
Might as well play Henry Fonda too.
Read it to you. My dear wife, Mr. Davies will tell you what's happening here tonight. He's a good man and has done everything he can for me. I suppose there's some other good men here too, only they don't seem to realize what they're doing. They're the ones I feel sorry for. because it'll be over for me in a little while, but they'll have to go on remembering for the rest of their lives. Man just naturally can't take the law into his own hands and hang people without hurting everybody in the world, because then he's just not breaking one law, but all laws. Law's a lot more than words you put in a book, or judges or lawyers or sheriffs you hire to carry it out. It's everything people ever have found out about justice and what's right and wrong. It's the very conscience of humanity. There can't be any such thing as civilization unless people have a conscience. Because if people touch God anywhere, where is it except through their conscience? And what is anybody's conscience except a little piece of the conscience of all men that ever lived? I guess that's all I got to say, except kiss the babies for me and God bless you. Your husband, Donald. Where are we going? He said he wanted his wife to get this letter, didn't he? Said there was nobody to look after the kids, didn't he?
AFI is committed to the belief that film can have the same heft, substance, and potential for excellence as any of the arts. Because it is such a public and popular art, it has an amazing ability, as tonight proved, to show us who we really are as a people. Richard Schickel has always shared AFI values, and he is such an old friend and collaborator that he is now officially part of the AFI family. He's best known as the film critic for Time magazine, but he also happened to write the major biography of Clint Eastwood, and that is why we are thrilled to ask him and the subject of that biography to join us here tonight. Richard and Clint.
The reason, other than the 60th anniversary, that this picture was chosen is that it is a fairly well-known fact that it's among Clint's favorite movies, which you must have encountered when you were about 13 or maybe 14. Now, what did you think when you saw on the marquee the Oxbow incident? Did you have any sense that it was anything other than just another Western?
No, I thought it was a shoot-'em-up. I thought with Henry Fonda and the picture of Henry Fonda and Dana Andrews and these people in cowboy hats, I said, this is going to be a shoot-'em-up. So I think this was in the early 40s, and I thought this would be great. Well, I got in there, and of course, it's as you saw tonight, those of you who hadn't seen this film or don't remember it, it was quite a downer story. But it was not your basic comedy. But it had a great effect on me because I thought at the time it addressed certain moral values about mob violence, and it has just about a little everything from racism to pseudo machoism to the father-son relationship, and it just had so many thoughtful things that even as a kid I appreciated it very much. And so It always stuck in my mind. And I've seen it 2 or 3 times over the years, but I forgot how well it plays, and there's so many wonderful character actors that we all remember that it's hard not to really enjoy the film.
You mentioned before this possibly being the first movie of moral weight that you probably saw. Is that true, or can you think of any other pictures in that era, when we were both, young sprouts, if you can remember that far back? Was there anything else that had any kind of picture that had a similar impact on you at that time?
Well, a lot of pictures had an impact on me, but most of them were based around just entertainment in general. But this one was the first one that sort of jarred me into a thoughtful. Usually, when you went to westerns in those days, and we all liked to go to them because they were very popular then, you expected a certain amount of action, a certain amount of entertainment. But then when you got into this one, and there was something about the way it was made, and where Wellman, he very cleverly bookended the picture with starting out in the saloon and ending there, even the dog crossing the street and crossing back, but then he got the fights in it were not regular fights that you saw in westerns. They were kind of mobs reeling back and forth.
Yeah, and they're not terribly well defined as fights.
Not
I mean,
really
it's kind of